What is the most wholesome fact you know? In Amsterdam, if someone has no next of kin or close family and dies, then a poet will be asked to read at their funeral. In many ancient countries, poets and musicians, usually one and the same, were given similar respect to that of a king. Squirrels will adopt abandoned babies. Okay, I should just leave Reddit. Second comment in this thread that I completely misunderstood. I thought that you meant human babies. I'm like, how did someone prove this? LOL. I mean, perhaps squirrels really could adopt abandoned human babies. It's just not likely to end happily. I've got a pair of cardinals that come to the feeder every day. I noticed that sometimes the male feeds the female. The female quickly shakes her tail feathers and the male responds by picking up a seed in his beak and feeding it to the female. I learned that this is part of their mating behavior. It allows the male to practice feeding, because he'll have to fill in for the female when she occasionally leaves the nest with the hatchlings in it. Plus it's just adorable. I forgot that cardinals were a kind of bird at first, which made all of this significantly weirder. Same. I thought he meant cardinals, as in the Catholic position of cardinal. First one that comes to mind is something along the lines of this. During the Second World War, an American B-17, I think it was the Flying Fortress, was trying to make her way back home heavily damaged. A German 109 fighter saw it and decided to investigate. The pilot noticed the guns weren't manned and the insane amount of damage the plane had. A good chunk of fuselage was missing along the side. Flew up beside the bomber and caught eye contact with the American pilot. He waved. The German pilot then escorted the bomber back to American territory where the German pilot waved off. These two pilots met each other after the war and became friends. Franz Stigler was the pilot and the pilot of the B-17 was Charles Brown, if I remember his name correctly. They became really good friends after the war and the book about them legit made me emotional. Franz Stigler got nasty calls when his story became publicized, being called a murderer and traitor. No bullets fly, spared by his mercy. The Netherlands sends Canada 20,000 tulip bulbs every year to thank them for their help during World War II. I have the good fortune of living in the capital of Canada. Every year we host the Tulip Festival, using those bulbs and so many more. My favorite wholesome Tulip Festival fact is that there's a team of gardeners who run about at night making sure all the beds look perfect and adding new blooms as needed. This is probably one of my favorite feel-good facts. Not only did Canada liberate the Netherlands, but when the royal family was being hosted in Canada during exile, the government declared the maternity ward extraterritorial so that Princess Margaret's citizenship would be solely Dutch when she was born on Canadian soil. Sniffle. Canadians of ethnic Dutch background are inordinately proud of that fact. And the Dutch capitalize on that. HRH Margriet has been to Canada more than once as the sort of designated Dutch royal for Canada. That's the kinda shit I came to read. Awesome. Cows have best friends, and when paired together, their heart rates are significantly lower and they experience less stress over all three. I am a 6th generation cattle rancher and can verify this. You can definitely tell many of the cows stick with certain groups. Cows are pretty cliquey, honestly. They also bully weak ones and have a clear social hierarchy. This is going to sound so stupid, but I've lived near pastures all my life and I've always wondered. When you see a single cow standing on top of a hill or a dirt mound, is it because 1, they want to feel superior to the other cows, 2, they're bored, or 3, they're so dumb they just walked up there and didn't know how to get down? Now that one I'm not sure on. LOL. Cows generally just want to be where the highest quality feed is, whether that be leafy grass, hay, or bagged food that we give them. The strongest and highest in the hierarchy cows get to be with the best quality food, the second get the second, and so on. The only other reasons I could think of besides pursuit of food is that is the designated lookout cow and is using a better vantage point for predators, or there are strong winds at the top of the hill and the cow is cooling off. Also, you may be surprised to learn that cows are fairly intelligent. They've been shown to enjoy solving puzzles. There are some pretty cute videos out there if you find yourself bored. Oh yes. Back in high school I asked my dad for a duck, and he brought home a feeder calf. That was my baby. We played hide and seek, tag. We would walk down the road with no lead, and he came when his name was called. Smartest steer I ever had. Got cow hooves tattooed on me to remember my Lenny. In Germany, they have these frog fences. These fences keep the frogs from crossing the roads and getting run over. At the end of the day, somebody comes by and gathers the frogs and helps them cross the road. I want that job. Look for the posting for Stadtfroschstraßenbekehrungsbeamter. Stadtfroschstraßenbekehrungsbeamter. Right. I was gonna call them out on their crap spelling. Bob Ross would receive letters every week from his regular viewers. When a regular would stop writing to him, he would call them and make sure they're okay. Bob Ross also once got a letter from a colorblind viewer who said they can't paint due to their colorblindness. He then did an episode where he made a painting entirely out of grey colors to prove that anyone can paint. Mr. Rogers hand wrote letters back to everyone who wrote to him. Mr. Rogers hand wrote letters back to everyone who wrote to him. About 20 years ago I wrote a tribute song called Fred Rogers and put it out on a CD. I sent a copy to him, along with a note saying how much his show meant to me growing up. Not only did he write back, he actually listened to the whole CD and gave the most wonderful, encouraging feedback about my music. It was one of the best things that has happened in my life ever. That man needs to be put in the history books as a national hero and saint, and a memorial statue of him should be at every library's kids section. Is there an annual Mr. Rogers Award, gold medal, yet? Can we start one maybe? Just having a movie about him and his show and fond memories isn't enough. Seriously. Bob Ross, Keanu Reeves and Fred Rogers got to be some of the best human beings to have ever lived. Don't forget Steve Irwin. Dogs will modify their play with puppies to let the puppy win. My dog treats our cat like a puppy and will lay on his side only using his front paws to defend himself. He usually lets the cat win and then she struts around. It's adorable. To add to this, male dogs often let female dogs win, so they can be chivalrous. Dogs also will sneeze while playing as a sign to let others know that they are just playing and to not worry that it's actual fighting. I heard that and now I sneeze at my dog when we're playing. She always gets so excited when I do that. That's so damn cute. My male husky does this all the time when playing. I just assumed he was allergic to himself. Children who are deaf and raised by deaf parents will sign repetitive sounds and words at about the same rate hearing babies acquire language. Deaf babies basically sign goo goo gaga the same way hearing children babble when developing language. My friends taught their baby basic sign language for hungry, tired act. Baby learned quickly and was signing stuff before speaking. Basic sign language should definitely be a thing. Yeah, basics like I'm hungry, extract the hostage, and where's the bathroom should all be taught in school for everyone. Every 4th grader needs to know the signs for breach the door, flashbang, neutralize targets. There's a species of bees that sleeps in flowers called globe mallows. 2 were photographed cuddling, sleeping together as the surrounding flowers were occupied. Sound like that one bee was at an Airbnb. Billy Joel never sells front row seats. Instead, he gives them away for free to fans who can't afford them. He said he was tired of looking down at people who were just there, instead of people who were genuinely enjoying themselves. Can confirm. Had really shitty seats at a Billy Joel Stadium concert a few years back and got there early, because it was my first concert. We're scoping out the seats and there was an older couple, probably in their early 50s, with 2 like pre-teen kids. A guy from the crew came all the way up and gave them front row tickets for the show, and another guy walked them down. My wife and I asked the dude what was up, and they explained that the front row is never sold at his shows and they hand out the tickets randomly to people in crappier seats. It was really cool to hear that, and I wasn't even bitter that I didn't get them. His was hands down the best concert I ever attended. He had this amazing conversational rapport with the audience. Sounded just like he did on his albums. The last time Liechtenstein went to war, they sent out 80 men and returned with 81, because the soldiers made a friend. This one is my favorite. Some dude in a war made more friends than Redditors at a party. You act like Redditors go to parties. He acquired a couple of friends and they learned to joust and pretended to be a knight until he was actually knighted. In New Zealand, if you need to call the emergency services, you can just ring the number you would use in your own country and you will get through. 911, 111, 999. It is so that in a situation when you are panicking, you don't need to remember a new number to get help. This is an incredibly sensible idea that should be implemented by more countries. Totally agree with you. It's an amazingly simple idea that could save lives. All countries of EU have emergency number 112 that connects you to emergency of the country you are in. So no matter where in EU you are, just call 112, even though the usual emergency number is 150,111 or whatever. I think it would be great if there would be just one number globally. In Italy, all the calls to 911 are redirected to 112, because many people in panic situations called the American number due to movies. You know when babies are smiling and laughing, but then they suddenly turn away? They're having a happiness overload. Basically their brains can't handle all the excitement they're experiencing by what they see. So the only remedy is to just not look anymore. If you could cite this for me to share, I would be so grateful. The number of public libraries in the US is far greater than the number of McDonald's. The fact that libraries exist at all is the most wholesome fact I know. There's a place in your town, probably in a nice building or on a bit of prime real estate, that is given over to the idea of providing as much entertainment or education as you could possibly want, free at the point of use, paid for by the people and for the people as a collective space for the enjoyment of everyone, rich or poor. Pretty much every country in the world has them. The only thing you need in order to be able to make use of this service is to bring the items back in a timely manner so other people can enjoy them. And people actually do it. Libraries are as close to the definition of a public good in every sense of the word as I can possibly find. As a public librarian, this warms my heart. BC, it's absolutely true. I love my job. Thank you for your service. What is your favorite book series? Some of my favorite books are A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith, Just Kids by Patti Smith, that Harry Potter series, Unbroken, and The Crucible. I'm happy to inform and provide for my community. Smiley face. Subscribe and click the notification bell to get the best of British.